Hey there everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at something that I've been wanting to look at for a little while. I just haven't had time or the drive to actually make the video, and now I do, so I'm making the video, and this video is going to be my Tokusatsu games collection. And if you're wondering what that is, Tokusatsu is like a kind of action TV show movie type thing in Japan. And I think the best example of it that people might know is Power Rangers or Kamen Rider. I'm not Power Rangers fan, so I don't actually have any Power Rangers games. But I do have a lot of Tokusatsu games. So they're not in any particular order. The order I'm going to be showing them is a random order in which I pulled them off my shelves. So yeah, I guess we'll just hop right into these and look at a couple of games here. But first, I guess we'll start with the Super Nintendo because that's the Super Famicom, because the boxes are closest. And I don't have that many games. There's a bunch of games on the Super Famicom that are Tokusatsu games that I just haven't gotten yet. I haven't found, or I haven't found for a good price. But I have a couple here. The first one here is The Great Battle. And The Great Battle is actually like a long-running series, but this is the first one in the series, and it's a part of a series called the Kampachi Heroes, or Compatible Heroes, and it's a cross between, if you can see it, it's Kamen Rider, Ultraman, and Gundam. I don't know why. But that's the combo, and that's what it is. There's lots of those. And this is the first in the Great Battle series. It's kind of like an action game, like an isometric action game for some parts. There's lots of different kind of styles for this game, actually. But I think the first one is mostly like kind of like a Zelda almost, but more action-y and with Kamen Riders and stuff. So yeah, Great Battle. There's 7 or 8 games in the series. Like it's not a short series. Maybe there's more than that. There actually are side games, so there's probably more than 10 now that I think about it. But I don't have all of them. Actually, I don't have most of them. So yeah, continuing on though, we've got, this is Battle Dodgeball. If you've ever played like Super Dodgeball on the Nintendo, or any of the remakes of that, or the sequels to that. There's one on the Neo Geo, there's a couple on whatever, Game Boy Advance, and some other stuff. But this is essentially Battle Dodgeball. Battle Dodgeball is essentially Super Dodgeball, but using, again, Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and Gundam characters. If you like those kind of Battle Dodgeball games, it's one of those. It's fun. I like those games, actually, so I have this. There's 3 in this series. I only have the first one and the third one. Oh, no, I have the second one and the third one. I don't have the first one. This is 2, actually. So, yeah. Battle Dodgeball 2. And the last one I have here on the Super Famicom is Hero Senki, which is, this is Project Olympus, this game is called. It's another one of those Kamen Rider, Ultraman, Gundam games. But this one is a turn-based RPG in the kind of vein of Final Fantasy or something like that. You go through dungeons, you have like a lineup of 4 characters against enemies on the other side of the screen, fighting back and forth in a turn-based manner. That's this game. It's an RPG, and it's pretty cool, actually. There's a semi-sequel to it called Gaia Saber that I don't have. I've been looking for. I just haven't found a complete copy. I found carts, but I don't buy cart-only games because I don't. But yeah, Hero Senki, they recently released it digitally, but only as part of a special edition of another game we'll see later. So I'll talk about it then, I guess. But yeah, there's this. So that's it. That's all I have for the Super Famicom. There are a bunch of other games, though. I mean, everybody knows there's the Ultraman game for the Super Famicom. There's Power Rangers games. There's a couple Kamen Rider games, a fighting, like a beat 'em up, and a, I don't know, racing kind of game. But yeah, I don't have those. But there's also, I mean, there's a ton of games on the Famicom too that I don't have. I just don't really collect for the Famicom, so I don't have any of those. But yeah, continuing on here, we've got a bunch of other stuff here. First game is my only 3DO game that I have in Japan. Um, this is Ultraman Powered. Ultraman Powered is a fighting game, kind of. I mean, it's a fighting game, but there's other stuff to do in it. There's kind of a first-person flying, like a flight shooting type of section. It's hard to explain because it's not really like you're fighting, and it's not like necessarily on rails, but and there's only one enemy usually. It's not like there's a ton of enemies. You're just kind of flying in with the ship and shooting your enemy a bit before the enemy knocks you down and you turn into Ultraman. Um, this is an alright game actually. It's an alright fighting game. It's not great, but it's not awful either. It's just the kind of thing where like I don't have a 3DO in Japan. My 3DO is back in my dad's attic in the U.S. So I have to play it via an emulator, which is always a bad option. But I got the original disc, so I guess that's something. I should actually get a 3DO again because there are a few games I still want to play on there, but not enough. I'm like not motivated enough to get a 3DO again. There's a couple other systems like that. The Playdia is another one that has like a couple Ultraman games and like I think like a Kamen Rider math game or something that I would probably buy just for the sake of having it. Um, but that's it for the old 3DO. But I have another game here for the Mega CD, and that is Kamen Rider Zetto. And this is an FMV game. It's a really good FMV game, though. It's like the pinnacle of FMV games for the Mega CD. If you ask me, it's done really well. Like the first thing you'll notice about this game when playing it is that like it doesn't look as grainy and like poor quality video as all the other Mega CD games do. You know, like some of them are really awful. Like it's just like all blocky and the colors are weird, but this one actually manages to work. Like it manages to look like a good video for somehow. And it is just like that kind of action reaction kind of thing going on, but there are different paths you can take. So it's a bit has some adventure elements in there too. So it's a pretty good game. I actually kind of enjoy this. It's probably one of my most liked FMV games, at least on the Mega CD. But yeah, that's an alright game actually. It did come out. Bit of trivia on that. It's like I think Kamen Rider Zetto was like never released in English in any other way but the the Sega CD version that came out in the U.S. It's so weird. Like it never got released on video or anything. It just came out on the Mega CD or the Sega CD. So if you wanna watch this movie, you have to actually get the Sega CD. Weird. Yeah, so that's it for the Mega CD, but we have a bunch of stuff for the Sega Saturn. And Sega Saturn has some good stuff here. First game here is this Godzilla game. It's not all that great. It's kind of a, as it says on the cover, a real-time monster attack simulation. It's not a fighting game though. That's something. It's not bad though. I don't mind this game. I just think like it's not incredible. I'm not like a huge Godzilla fan really, but sometimes I play these games and I'm kind of excited for that new one that came on the PS3, but I'm sure it's going to come out on the PS4 in Japan also, so I've been waiting. Um, if not, I'll just get it the US. I'll just import a copy of the PS4 version. I don't know. It didn't. I don't think it did like blew up the sales charts or anything in Japan, but it's still expensive. It's still like $60 or something, even used. So, it's probably worth it for me to just wait for the PS4 version and just get that one. But yeah, more on the Saturn here. Oh, okay, we've got what is this? Kamen Rider Sakusen File 1. I don't know why it's 1 because there's not a 2. There, as far as I know, there's no sequels. But this is a kind of adventure game, so like a visual novel, kind of like you're. It's not exactly a visual novel, but like you kind of have like real FMV scenes, and you have like menus of stuff to search, and you talk to people, and it's all like menu based, text story based, I guess. It's pretty good though. It's I like those kinds of games, especially on the Saturn. I don't know why I like those games so much on the Saturn, but I have a ton of them, and there's lots of really interesting ones. That's a separate video though. But yeah, this one is Kamen Rider adventure game. It's kind of like a detective story, really, with Kamen Riders. Um, next we've got what is this? Ultra P. Oh, I'm forgetting the important PD Ultraman Link. I don't know what the PD stands for. I don't remember, but there are a couple in this PD series for Ultraman. But this is PD Ultraman Link, and it's when I bought this game, I bought it by accident, in the sense that like it was listed on the I bought it off of like a game site I usually buy stuff from, and it was listed as Ultraman Ring, and I was looking around for any type of game called Ultraman Ring. Like, I don't know what that is. That sounds interesting. And it was cheap, so I thought like, well, even though I can't find any information on it, I'll buy it and see what it is myself. And then it was this Ultraman Link, not Ring, which is in the Japanese spelling is like so close that like whoever typed it in just typed it wrong into the system or whatever, and it became Ultraman Ring instead of Ultraman Link. And yeah, this is a puzzle game like Puzzle Fighter. So you have two characters, one on each side of the screen. You have to like kind of drop down different color. They're like liquid vials that can kind of connect together and grow bigger. But it's a lot like Puzzle Fighter. That's essentially what it is. Ultraman Puzzle Fighter. There you go. Ultraman Link. Continuing on with the Ultramans, we've got this is an Ultraman fighting game. What is it? Hikari no Kyojin Densetsu. Which this is like you can see it's in one of these boxes because it's a RAM card game, or maybe it's a ROM card game. I don't actually remember. Let me open it and look. Oh no, it's a ROM card. So this is has a special card that you have to use when you play the game. Like you can't play this game without the card, and it only works for this game. So it's a ROM card. It has data on the card for the game, probably extra memory too. But it is a fighting game. It's a kind of a digitized character fighting game though. So I think it's pretty similar actually to Ultraman Powered, but I think this is actually a little better. And I think a lot of that has to do with the RAM card, or the ROM card in this case. But it's an Ultraman fighting game. It's pretty good actually. It's not my favorite Ultraman fighting game. That'll come later, but this one is a pretty good one, and comes in this snazzy box. And the last game I have here for the Sega Saturn is Hokkaider. I don't. Oh, it's Jinzo Ningen Hokkaider, and Hokkaider is from the Kikaider series. I mean, he's like one of the main villains, but for some reason he has his own movie that I've never been able to track down and watch. But I guess this came out around the time the movie came out, because this is like definitely from the movie. But this is not what you'd expect it to be. It's a shooting game, like a gun shooter. So, I mean, I don't have a gun for my Sega Saturn, so I have to play it with a controller. But it is like a gun shooter, which is weird. Like, it's not what I was expecting when I ordered it. I thought like it was gonna be more of like a action kind of fighter, where not like a fighting game, but more like a like a beat 'em up or something, or a beat 'em up with motorcycle scenes because there's motorcycles. But nope, light gun shooter. It's not a bad game. It's just kind of a bizarre choice for Hokkaido. But yeah, so I guess we'll continue on with the Sega theme here. We've got two games here for the Dreamcast, of course, Godzilla Generations. Um, Again, Godzilla games kind of, you know, there's more bad ones than good ones, but sometimes you just play them. This one I had in when I originally had the Dreamcast, so it's the kind of game that I'm just kind of nostalgic for, even though it's not really that great. But it's not bad. It's cheap too, so you know, if you like Godzilla, go for it. This one is a different one. Okay. Okay, so this is Tokusatsu Boken Katsugeki Superhero Retsuden. Almost nobody is gonna be able to remember that, but if you can remember Superhero Retsuden, that's the title. The other part, the beginning part, is just like the beginning pre-title suffix, if you will. This is another Tokusatsu crossover game, which is this one is like an interesting one because it has 40 characters, I believe. It says on the back 40 characters from various series, and you can see on the cover there's a bunch here. This is Red Ranger from Go Ranger. You've got Kikaider and Inazuman and your Kamen Rider and various others. But yeah, it's kind of a weird action game, and like it's an action game that's has this weird grid-based system. You need the grids. There's grids, and like when you do a special attacks, it like works on a grid. Like imagine it like a real-time version of a grid-based strategy game. It's hard to explain because it's kind of weird. But like you're moving in like an action game, but like when you do special attacks, it like works on a grid like a strategy RPG. It's it's a little strange, but it's kind of cool. I mean, the characters are all kind of super deformed, but there are a lot of interesting characters in this game. Characters that you like don't expect to see show up. Um, like characters that are out of like I think Bijinder is in this. That might be another one. But like, there's a bunch of I think like um Palatorian is stuff like that is in there, and it's like such it's kind of obscure. Um, there's lots of stuff like that in this game where it's just like weird. Why is that character there? It's kind of like, oh, okay, interesting. But this one is a really interesting one on the Dreamcast. I don't think it's that expensive either. So, if it sounds interesting or you just like Tokusatsu, there's tons of characters in there. So it's you know, cool to have just for that. Yeah, next I guess we'll. Okay, this is piled strangely, so we're gonna go to the PSP so these don't fall over when I pull the stuff out behind it. So we've got a bunch of stuff here on the PSP. I guess we'll start with the big box first because this one is a special edition. This is the Great Battle Full Blast special edition. We talked about Great Battle earlier, but this Great Battle is the same crossover, but it has like motorcycle riding scenes plus 2D beat 'em up scenes plus kind of force scrolling platforming. It's like this weird kind of mixture of games with these characters. So, but it's fun. It's not that long or anything, but it's a fun game, and it was worth buying. I bought the special edition not because I'm like totally wanted the special edition, but because it came with the physical copy of Battle Dodgeball 3. And this Battle Dodgeball 3, like for a long time, the only way to get that game was to buy this special edition. So it was like one of the rarer games on the PSP because it only came in this box set. and they released it eventually on PSN, but still, you can only get a physical copy through this box set. So I got the box set, and I think I lucked out on it actually because I've seen the game alone, Battle Dodgeball 3 alone for the price I paid for the whole box set. So I think I got lucky. Continuing on with that though, we've got this is Ultraman All Star Chronicle. This is a strategy RPG. It's really mediocre though. Not at all what I was hoping for when I bought it. I was expecting something a little bit more quality, and it's kind of like really low budget and really like not interesting. So I have a review of it on my channel. So if you're really interested in why I didn't like think it was great, just look at my review. But it's kind of mediocre. It's not horrible, but it's not good either. So I can't really recommend it, but I can't say don't buy it if you find it cheap. But it's not going to be like super exciting. Continuing on, though, we've got a game that is good. This is All Kamen Rider Generations 2, and the first one I have on the DS. But this is All Kamen Rider Generations 2 is a 2D beat 'em up. Just a beat 'em up. You go through the stages, beat up a bunch of characters. You can use all the Kamen Riders, not all of them, but a lot of Kamen Riders, and it's fun. It's simple. You go through a bunch of stages. You go through beating up things. You come to the end. You fight a boss. Standard setup, but it's fun. And if you like Kamen Rider, it's it's extra fun because there's so many different riders you can use. So, yeah, I would recommend this if you're a Kamen Rider fan. All Kamen Rider Generations 2. The first one too. I mean, that one's good as well, but I think this one is cheaper. But yeah, I mean, you don't need to know Japanese to play it either. So if you're a Kamen Rider fan, right here, this is the game for you. Continuing on, we got Heroes Versus. Heroes Versus was an arena fighter. It's not good though. It's another crossover between Kamen Rider Gundam and Ultraman. And I got it because it was super cheap. And I mean, I wanted to try it when it came out, but it came out at the same time as something else, and I just like never picked it up. And then like a couple months later, it was like $5, and I was like, oh well, it's probably awful because it dropped in price so quickly. But I'll pick it up because it's cheap, and I wanted to try it, and it's not good. I mean, it's not fun. It's just not a fun game. I played it for a couple hours, and I played through the entire story mode with one character, Kamen Rider Den-O in this case. But it was not a fun experience. It's not a fun fighter, and it's not like an interesting story either. So it's the kind of thing where I don't know, it just wasn't good. So I didn't play through it with every character, and I probably never will. Continuing on with that, though, we've got this is Kamen Rider Climax Heroes O's, and this is a sort of fighter. It's not like a one-on-one fighter all the time. It's like an arena fighter mixed with a one-on-one fighter, mixed with like this weird kind of board game or something. It's hard to explain. But you go through a bunch of stages, and sometimes like you'll go into a stage and it'll be like beat 20 enemies in 10 seconds or something, or fight this one rider, or fight this rider plus 2 other enemies or that respawn or whatever. It's got like conditions like that. So I want to say it's not unlike the kind of remember the kind of tower mode in Soul Calibur? It's not. It's like a whole game of that, but with the Kamen Riders. There is a story and a kind of, a bunch of characters you can unlock. It's not a bad game actually. Kind of like the Climax Heroes games. they're really quick to go through. I think you could beat like the entire game in like, a couple hours, and you get to use a lot of riders. This one has a problem with that. Like, there's no reason to use any of the other riders in this one. There's no you're gonna always use O's because he's like the most powerful, and then you can like have other characters with you, but you'll never use them. So it's kind of pointless to be able to unlock a bunch of riders and then like have no reason to use them. But with that, you have Climax Heroes Forza, and this one fixes that problem because it's very similar in the way it's set up, but it gives each rider their own specific missions. So instead of having just like 100 million O's missions that you can like kind of have guys come along with you, you have all these riders you can unlock, and then each of those riders has a reason to be used because they have their own special missions. Like, and some have more than others. Some riders have like one mission. If you're like, Kamen Rider Fam or something, you have like one mission. But if you're Kamen Rider Black or something, you have 5 missions. So there's a bunch of, it's different for each character. But you've got a bunch of stuff in here, and it's good. This one is probably out of the PSP ones that I have. I don't have Cho Climax Heroes, which is the wizard one. But besides that, out of the PSP ones, this one is probably the best one. Climax Heroes Forza. Yeah, that's all right. And continuing on, we've got... This is Ultraman Fighting Evolution Zero. Fighting Evolution series was on the PS1 and PS2. We'll get to those. But this is Zero on the PSP. It's an Ultraman fighting game. It's not bad. I kind of like these Ultraman fighting games, even though they're mostly not incredibly good. They have a certain charm to them, and the Fighting Evolution series, I don't have all of them, but I have most of them, and they're mostly good. I don't know. If you like kind of fighting games, I guess, and you like Ultraman, it's kind of like, you can overlook a few of the negatives too and kind of enjoy the game. And that's what I do, basically. Yeah, the last one here I have on the PSP, I think, is, this is, what is this called? Beautiful Joe Battle Carnival. Yeah, Beautiful Joe is, like, not a tokusatsu in the sense that he has a show. I mean, he has an anime, but he's based on a tokusatsu character. He's like a kind of parody of a tokusatsu character, so I include him in my tokusatsu collection because he's essentially a tokusatsu character. And it's fun. I mean, this game, I don't know what it's called in English. I don't remember what the English title is. It might be Battle Carnival. But yeah, this was released also on the GameCube, I think, and the PSP, but I have it on the PSP because I like portables. But this is kind of like like an arena battle, but it's 2D, and like you have like these weird mini games interspersed in between the battles, and like you jump around and there's lots of craziness, and it's like a Beautiful Joe, but in this kind of weird Power Stone kind of thing with mini games. It's the worst Beautiful Joe game, but it's still good. It's still fun to play every once in a while. But yeah. So that's it for the PSP, but we've still got a bunch of other stuff here. I guess we'll look at the DS next. DS and 3DS, because I've got them together. They're mixed, I think. Okay. So, continuing on with that Beautiful Joe thing, we've got, what is this called? Beautiful Joe Scratch. I think the English title for this is Double Trouble, maybe? It's double something. I want to say it's Double Trouble, but I'm, like how games on the DS always want to have like a DS kind of theme to their name. It might, but it might not. Whatever. This is like I think this is the last Beautiful Joe game that was released, and yeah, it's fun actually. I kind of like this game. It's not as good as like the PS2 or GameCube Beautiful Joe games, but it's still fun. It's it's a pretty good Beautiful Joe game. If you haven't played this, I would check it out and if you like Beautiful Joe, you should check it out. You shouldn't write it off just because it's a DS game. But this video is going to be really long. I'm just noticing this now. I hope my phone has enough time to record the whole thing. Let's look at this one because we talked about the sequel already. This is all Kamen Rider Generations on the DS. And this one is good too. I think like this one does some things better than the sequel, but overall the sequel is better. I like the map system on this one, the kind of shops and things. I don't remember if they're in the second one, but there are a bunch of shops in this one where you can buy special moves for the riders, and you can unlock a bunch of stuff in this game, just like the other one. But I think this one has a little less variety to it and less stages. But it's still fun. I think like you can both of these games have this thing where like you have like these ridiculous, not like a ridiculous amount of difficulty settings. Like you have 3 difficulty settings you can play through, but if you beat the game once, it'll unlock 2 more difficulty settings. And I'm not sure if you have to beat it on all of the stages. I beat it on all the stages and all the difficulties because it's short. I mean, you can get through the whole thing in a couple of hours, so you could just go through the whole thing. I think I might have an impressions video of this or the sequel, one or the other, or maybe both, up on the channel somewhere. But it's fun. Next we've got this is Kamen Rider Kamen Rider Battle Gumbaride. Gumbaride Taisen. I should just read it from the side. Yeah, that's what it is. But this is a card battle game, and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. I was like, if you've ever played SNK versus Capcom, the card fighters, either the DS one or the Neo Geo Pocket one, both of them are good. But it's a fun card battle game. Like it's a real battle. Like you have your deck, you make your deck and you play through, and you have like strategies and you have to like use the cards correctly. This one is not that. It's like you have 2 cards you can use and you have to like just kind of match a slot machine correctly while you're doing the battle to do more damage. It's not fun, and it gets boring really quickly, and it's like really, really for kids. Like it's really kiddie in a lot of ways because it's so simple. The main character you're playing as is this goofy little kid. It's not a very good game. I wouldn't recommend this. I didn't finish it. I played it for a couple hours, like on my commute back and forth for like a week or so, and I just thought like, no thanks, I'm done with this, and I wouldn't recommend it. But let's see more. Okay, last DS game is Kaiju Busters Powered. Kaiju Busters, and this is like the kind of 1.5 upgraded sequel. This is kind of a Monster Hunter type of game. Think of it as like a cross between Monster Hunter and like Earth Defense Force, and I mean obviously the monsters you're fighting are Ultraman monsters, but you're playing as the like little Earth Defense guys. It's actually pretty fun. Like this game is kind of expensive. Like it's way more expensive than you'd expect it to be. This powered one is kind of rare, I guess. I don't know why. I guess it didn't sell very well. But the original one you can get that has less content and has like missing some of the upgrades in this one is not that expensive. So if you're really interested, if you like Ultraman and you like Earth Defense Force and you like kind of the hunting genre games, this is actually a pretty good game. I would actually recommend this because it's fun and it has a lot of stuff to do, and it's Ultraman related. So yeah, next we'll look at stuff on the 3DS. There's not that much really. First we've got Kamen Rider Traveler Senki, and this is kind of it's kind of an action RPG that's like all Kamen Rider Generation minus like all the Kamen Riders. it's not too bad, but you do level up the characters, and you kind of have to do side missions, and you have like it's an action RPG, but and I have an impressions video of this up. It's not incredibly good, and the writer choices are like really slim, so it's not incredibly exciting, but it's all right. It's all right. It's got a kind of like a Tales of type of battle system, and beyond that, though, it's not great, but not horrible either. Traveler Senki. Um, Next, we've got a game that is awesome. Lost Heroes. Lost Heroes is a first-person dungeon crawler. I believe it's developed by Lankars, who also did like Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey. They did development on that, and they did development on stuff like Etrian Odyssey. So you already know that it's going to be a good first-person dungeon crawler, and this is really a good first-person dungeon crawler, like shockingly good, like way better than it has any reason to be. And I was like really surprised by how good this game was when I got it, because I kind of just got it because I was like, first-person dungeon crawler with Kamen Riders, I got to get that, even though I'm sure it's going to be bad. And it was really good. Like one of my favorite games of the year when it came out. So yeah, it's also on the PSP if you're wanting to play that. Also, we have the sequel, Lost Heroes 2. And this one had a special edition, which I don't have, but the special edition also contained the download, like a digital version of Hero Senki, that Super Famicom game that I showed earlier. But yeah, this is more Lost Heroes. It's good. This one actually has kind of a worse character selection than the first one. Like, I enjoyed the character selection in the first game more than I did this one. And I think mostly because this one has less older characters. And I'm like old, so I prefer like some older characters. But this one has like mostly the kind of Neo Heisei writers, plus like one or two, like Kamen Rider Black RX is in there. Kamen Rider Black and Black RX are in there. That's like, yeah, I'll be using those, but like Kamen Rider Black RX never left my party, and then like I'm using all like the old school characters I could use. Yeah, but even then you can't all use only those because there's not enough. But yeah, here is Lost Heroes 2, also good, and also on the 3DS. But that's everything for the 3DS. I guess we can look at the Vita because there's only one game, and this game is spectacular. Superhero Generation. This is a strategy RPG, and one that is really, really good, like amazingly good. There was so much I enjoyed about this game. I played through it a bunch of times. Like I platinumed this game. It was like I did all the special side missions, all the side story stuff, like the separate kind of storyline that's going on in the submission. There's like so much stuff going on in this game, and I have a full review of it. It was like my maybe #2 game of the year last year. Like it was like the second best game I'd played. Such a good game. And this one is also Kamen Riders Ultraman and Gundam, and it has a really good character selection, unlike some of the other ones. But yeah, I guess we're going to go back in time now to the PlayStation 1 because the danger of stuff falling has gone away, so I can use this. So yeah, PlayStation 1. I guess we'll start with another PD Ultraman game, and this was PD Ultraman Invader. And if you can guess by the name, it's kind of a Space Invaders clone, but with Ultraman and Ultraman enemies. That's about it. It's not even like just Ultraman clone of Space Invaders. You can actually play Space Invaders on this disc, so it's there. But there is the Ultraman version of Space Invaders. If that sounds awesome to you, then this is the game for you. It's not like it's a super expensive game or super in-depth game or anything. It's Space Invaders. Next, oh, this one is Superhero Sakusen, or Superhero Operations, as the spine says. Superhero Sakusen is another Tokusatsu crossover game, but it's got various crossovers. Um, this you can see another Go Ranger. Here is Uchu Keiji Gaban, or Space Sheriff Gavan, I think is the English. Another Kiter. You've got some Gundams up here. You've got Ultraman, 7 and Ultraman, I guess. Um, yeah, I mean, but there are a bunch of stuff, and Bijinder is on the back here if you're interested in that. Um, but yeah, this is a turn-based RPG, and yeah, it's turn-based RPG. What I mean, you know how those work. You go through dungeons, you fight enemies in a turn-based style like Final Fantasy. It's kind of how it is. But yeah, this is good. I really enjoyed this game, so I bought the sequel, which is here, Superhero Sakusen Daidol no Yabo, which is the English on the spine card here is Superhero Operations Daidol's Ambition. This one is also the same thing. It's got more, more stuff here. You've got another more Kiter and Kamen Rider V3 and Red Ranger, Kamen Rider Black, Space Sheriff Gavan, Ultraman, and more Kamen Rider, more Ultraman, Inazuman. But you've also got who else is Charivan, Space Sheriff Charivan is in here. I think also Scheider might be in here too. So you've got all the Space Sheriffs. But yeah, this is another one of those kind of turn-based RPGs with all those Tokusatsu characters. I really like these. Wish they made more of these. There's the next game actually. I wish they would make a sequel to, because it's good, but it's broken in so many ways. This next game is Super Tokusatsu Taisen 2001. So many problems with this. This game is awesome. I really like this game. I'm still not finished with it. I've been playing it for months, but only on and off. Like I play like one mission every time I'm like in between games or something. And sometimes I get into it and I play like for like a couple of missions, and then I'll start something else and come back to it later. But there's a reason for that. It's broken beyond broken. Like there's characters that are broken like in the game, they just don't work correctly, or like you can't level them up, or even if you level them up their skills don't change, like their power doesn't change, stuff like that in the game. That And there's like lots of things where like there's just stuff that's broken about it. There's like a huge list on the Japanese page for this game. There's like a huge list of stuff that's broken with it, and it's funny because like it's all true. But that being said, how broken it is, like you can beat it. Apparently, like the difficulty level for it is so high that like most people don't try to beat it without using cheats. But I figured I would go through it without using cheats, without using a guide, and without hopefully not falling prey to any game-breaking bugs. And I'm about 40 missions into this game. And apparently there's 60 or so. Maybe more or maybe less. Could be 80, I don't really know. But I put about 50 hours into this game, and I'm probably halfway through. But yeah, like some of the missions are really long. I mean, you'll be just play them for hours, and you'll be like, I finished one mission, I played for 3 hours. But it is kind of like those super robot Tyson games, but with Tokusatsu characters. Another problem with this game is super Tokusatsu Tyson 2001. It came out in 2001. The latest character in this game is Kamen Rider Black RX, which is from like 1989. There was like 12 years of Tokusatsu stuff in between the latest character in this game and this game. So, like, it's bizarre because, like, there's tons of characters from the 60s and 70s. Like, Red Baron is in here. Like, um, Giant Robo. Like those are tokusatsu from the 60s. Um, you'll see like well, you've got space sheriffs, all the space sheriffs, Kiter. This is like a made up character for the game. You've got your Kamen Rider Black RX, your Go Rangers, and like Go Rangers, like the first Rangers. That's like 1976 or something. Like most of the characters are from the 70s and 60s in this game, and then there's like a couple from the early 80s, like the Space Sheriffs, and then Black RX. Like all the other riders so far, unless there, I don't know if there's going to be more, but besides Black RX, like all the riders are like Kamen Rider, Nigo, Ichigo and Nigo, and then V3 and Rider Man and stuff like that. They're all from the 70s. I hope Amazon shows up or Stronger, but probably not. Anyway, this game is really fun. I'm still playing it, and I'm hoping I'll be able to beat it because some of the missions, like when people say this game is hard, it's hard. Like it's hard for me, and like I've been like brought up on strategy RPGs. Like it's the kind of game that I absolutely love, and some of these missions are like really hard. But I haven't been stuck, but some of them it's just like I'm getting by like the skin of my teeth. It's like super super difficult, but that's probably one of my favorites out of all of these games. That game is still probably one of my favorites despite being like terribly broken. But Ultraman, next game is an Ultraman game, Ultraman Fighting Evolution. This is the first one in the series, and it is like a 3D fighter on the PS1, so you can imagine how good it looks now. Not good at all. But it's still a good game. I mean, it's good for what it is, good for the time. Probably it's not so hot now, but the later ones are better. Let's see. I guess we can go through a bunch of these PS1 games here. First we've got Kamen Rider. This is another 3D fighting game that has riders. It's not a very good one. A lot of these ones on the PS1 are fighters that aren't incredibly good. This one isn't very good. There is a sequel that's better, the Kamen Rider V3, that I don't have. But this one is like the first one, I think, out of the games that came out of the PS1, and it's like, since it's the first one, it's kind of probably the worst one. But next we've got Kamen Rider, the Bike Race. And this is a simple series game, so it's simple. But it's essentially Road Rash with Kamen Riders. I mean, it's like an even simpler version of Road Rash, where you're not fighting multiple characters. There's like one dude you're racing at, one shocker trooper that you're racing against. And there's like not that many tracks, 6 tracks, and maybe 14 characters altogether. You can unlock a bunch. You start with like 1 or 2, and then you can unlock a bunch up through all of the Showa riders, plus Kuga and Agito, plus like some extra bonus unlock characters that are just like different versions of, I think, Kuga and Kamen Rider Ichigo and Nigo. I think like it's Shin Ichigo and Shin Nigo you can unlock too. That's about it. It's simple, but it's fun. Like I played through the entire game with every character to unlock everybody, and sometimes it's a little challenging, but it's not like, it's like Road Rash. If you like Road Rash and you think like, well, I would like a simple version of that because it has Kamen Riders, then it's like a $2 game. You just go for it. Next we've got Kamen Rider Kuga, and this one is a fighting game as well. It's better than that Kamen Rider one, the original Kamen Rider one, but not by a ton. It's all right though. It's not so bad. I mean, it's short, and you can play through the game with everybody pretty quickly. But yeah, next we've got Kamen Rider Agito on the PS1 here, and this one I think it has even less options than the Kuga one. which is weird. It came later, but it has less options. You can only play as 3 characters in the story mode, and of course, it's these three: Agito, Gills, and G3X. I think maybe it's X. But it does do some things that are good. Like when you fight the monsters, they die like they die in the series. So like if like in the show Agito kills the monster by like swooping at him and he ducks and kills it with the sword, like there's a little scene of that in the game. So they kind of tried to make it close to how the series goes. And it doesn't actually go all the way to the end of the series for whatever reason, probably because it came out during the series and not after the series. But it does go through a bunch of the monsters that are in the series, so it's fun for that. It's pretty short though. You can play through and unlock everything in like a couple hours. The last one is Kamen Rider Ryuki, and Ryuki has a lot of characters to play as because the series has a lot of riders. 13 riders. I mean, that's the thing. But yeah, it's a pretty good. I mean, it's just like the other ones. Actually, it's not incredibly different from any of those, but it's an alright game. I would say that if you like Ryuki, and I really like this Ryuki series. I liked the characters, and even the characters that you hate initially, you start to like in that series because everybody becomes likable. I don't know what it was about Ryuki, but I liked it more and more as I watched it. It's not my favorite series out of the Kamen Rider series, but it's up there. It's a pretty good one. Oh wait, last one on the PS1 here is Kimero Hero Gakuen, which is this one is a Tokusatsu hero simulation game. So there's no actual Tokusatsu characters, but you kind of have these characters at the school and they're learning to become Tokusatsu heroes. And it's a simulation game, so you just gotta train them and, you know, do stuff with them. It's not like a action game at all. It's very like menu based simulation. I love simulation games. This one is one of those. It's great. Okay, that's it for PS1. We'll move on to PS2. PS2 here is... There's a lot of stuff, and I think this is everything, but it might not even be everything, because I'm pretty sure I'm missing some stuff. But we'll start with the stuff that is good. We've got... this is the first Climax Heroes game, and it's the main character is Decade. Good for me. Decade is like one of my favorite Kamen Rider series. I really like Decade. I like his design. I like the story. I liked so much about Decade. And this game kind of goes through the story roughly, so it's fun. It's fun for that aspect alone, because if you like Decade, you'll like this game, even though it's essentially like all the others, but that's a kind of, you know, arena fighter. But it's good. But even before that, we've got a lot of Kamen Rider games on the PS2 because they're all fighters, almost all fighters, almost. This is Kamen Rider Hibiki, and Hibiki is a fighter, but this one is awesome because it comes with this. This is an extra special disc. It's a Taiko no Tatsujin disc for Hibiki. Hibiki has like his weapon are these two like taiko drum kind of mallets or whatever, and that's what he uses. So like it's funny that there's like a Taiko no Tatsujin crossover with this game. It's like a special disc, and it's a really Taiko no Tatsujin. So it's it's pretty awesome. That's the best part of this, I think. Like the fighting part, it's all right, but it's the Taiko no Tatsujin for Hibiki is the best. Continuing on with that, though, we've got Kamen Rider Faiz, another fighter. It has, I think a lot of people didn't like this one because it has like a lot more monsters than riders, but it makes sense because the monsters in the show are not monsters per se. Like half of the monsters are good. So, you know, it's the kind of thing where like you want to use those monsters. You want to like would you want to play Fives without being able to play as the horse Orphanok? No, because he's one of the main good guys. It's the kind of thing where like, would you want to play if you couldn't play as a snake Orphanok? Like you want to play as those guys because they're some of the most likable characters in the show. Um, and like on the other hand, like, do you want to play as Kaiza? Probably not. He's a dick. So it's the kind of thing where like, you know, um, it's kind of like an unfounded complaint that I've heard about this game. I really like this. I really like Fies is one of my favorite Rider series too. Like Decade and Fies are probably my top two. Um, these two are really good though. This yeah, I like the series. Um, Also, here we have Blade. This one has a lot more riders because there's a lot more Blade riders. But I find myself like I like Blade less, and it's totally because I like Fi's the actual series better. Like I wasn't a huge fan of Blade. It's one of my lower level Rider series, but it's not horrible. But like it starts off so bad, and it gets better towards the end. But like the first half, I was like, I'm not sure if I want to continue watching this or not. But yeah, the series is good, and the game is all right. It's just like all the other ones. If you like those, you'll like that. But if you're not like huge into Kamen Rider, like just get the series you like, and you'll like that one the best. Let's see. What else do I got here? Do I have any other Rider games so I can get those out of the way? No, I don't. Oh, yeah, I do. It's just not in the pile here. There's another Kamen Rider game that I have for the PS2 that I don't see around here, but I know I have it. It's Seigi no Keifu. It's kind of like it's like Resident Evil almost, but with Kamen Riders and more action based because you fight people, you punch and kick. You don't have guns. So that's a really good game. I would recommend that. Seigi no Keifu, I think it is. Yeah. I don't know where that is though. It's somewhere in this room, but I didn't pull it out when I pulled out the PS2 games for whatever reason. So that makes see. I knew I was forgetting some stuff, but I don't know where it is. I'd have to go through all the stuff. We don't have time for that. So yeah, let's continue on. We've got Beautiful Joe 1 and 2. Beautiful Joe, really good series. Made by Clover Studios, who became Platinum Games. Such a good series. Beautiful Joe, I like everything about this series. It's such a good action game. It's really stylish. It's kind of a fun send up to Tokusatsu. It's even got like the film kind of element going on for it. It's just good all over. So, Beautiful Joe, awesome. If you haven't played these, like you're really missing out. You should get these. Get it on the GameCube. Get it on the PS2. Get it wherever you can. Super good series. Yeah, okay, so we've got some more Ultraman games here. We've got Ultraman Fighting Evolution 2. This is the first one that came out on the PS2, and it's much better than the PS1 one. There is Ultraman Fighting Evolution 3 also that I don't have, but eventually I'll get it. There's a bunch of Ultraman games on the PS2 that I don't have, like Ultraman uh, Cosmos or something, or I don't remember. There's a bunch that I don't have though. On the PS1 also, there's a ton of Ultraman like Dyna and Tiga and stuff. I don't have those. But here, the next game is another Ultraman game, but this one is my favorite Ultraman game. It's just Ultraman on the PS2, and this one is it's like a story-based fighter. Um, Imagine it being like a story where you're just playing through the main battles of the Ultraman story, um, but in like a more I don't know. It's less of a fighting game and more of an action game, but where you're only fighting big monsters. So I don't think I'm explaining that well enough. But this is the best one. This is the best Ultraman game in my opinion. They haven't made a better one than this one, and I would recommend this one. Like really recommend this one because it's probably the most fun I've had with an Ultraman game. So yeah, it's just plain old Ultraman on the PS2. Very good game. Next we've got the Tokusatsu Henshin Hero, and this is another simple series game. This actually got a release in English in Europe, I think only, and it's called something like Power, the Power Fighters, maybe. It's not a good game. It's a simple series game. You can't expect it to be awesome, but it does have like these kind of generic versions of Tokusatsu characters that you would play, and it's kind of like it's not unlike Climax Heroes, except even cheaper and with no characters you know. That's about it though. It's not horrible, but it's obviously a simple series game, so it's cheaply made and you know kind of low budget, but there's a place for that. There's a place for low budget games, and you know if the world was full of only AAA games that had a huge budget, gaming would be boring. So yeah, we've got two more PS2 games here before we're done with the PS2 at least. This one is kind of an anomaly. It's a weird that they made it at all, but it's this is Uchu Keiji Tamashi, which is like Space Sheriff Spirits, and this is a Space Sheriff game on the PS2. These characters, Space Sheriff, Gabon, Sheridan, and Scheider, are. It was a TV show in the early 80s, like 1981, 82, 83, maybe. Um, why did it get a PS2 game? I don't know. It's like 20 years too late. But I'm not complaining because it's a fun game. Like, it's kind of an action beat 'em up, 3D action beat 'em up. You go through stages. You have like a kind of locked in areas where you have to fight a room full of creatures and then a boss. It's a standard kind of like 2D, I'm not 2D, it's not 2D, it's 3D. 3D kind of adventure beat 'em up. It's good though because it's like one of the only games that you can just use the Space Sheriffs. You can use all three, and you can play through the game, do some fighting. It's fun for what it is. It's fun 3D beat 'em up, I guess. Um, no complaints. It goes through some interesting Space Sheriff stories. If you like Space Sheriffs, you should get this. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're like, what is Space Sheriffs? It's too old for me. Then you're probably not going to be interested in this. But if you like old Tokusatsu, like if you're like 70s and early 80s Tokusatsu, this is a game that you should play because it's kind of has that feeling to it. Um, the last game here I have on the PS2 is Seigi no Mikata. This is a sort of it's like you're a Tokusatsu character, like you're a character that would be in a Tokusatsu, but it's just like you're making this character yourself, and you kind of go through this Tokusatsu story, and it's kind of like an action adventure game basically. It's fun, like it's like if you had a generic hero that you created yourself, and you could play through this kind of Tokusatsu story with him. That's this game, Seigi no Mikata. Um, yeah, that's what we got here. We'll continue on. We've only got 3 games left, even those videos over an hour. Um, we've got Kamen Rider Climax Heroes Double. Again, another Climax Heroes game, and this one is on the Wii. I think this is only on the Wii, which is why I have it on the Wii. Um, a lot of those other ones, I think Forza and O's are also on the Wii, but I got it on the PSP because I prefer it that way. But this one I think is only on the Wii, so it's just more Climax Heroes. The setup for these games are all like they're not the same. None of the games are like straight up clones of each other. They all have like different stuff in them, but the general idea of them is like kind of this: you fight either one-on-one rider battles or enemy battles, or like these kind of arena battles where you're fighting multiple enemies at once. That's kind of how they all work. and they have their own kind of like, you know, way to bring you through the story. If you like it, if you like one, you probably like all of them. If you don't like one, you probably won't like any of them. That's kind of how it is. Even though they're not all the same, they're all, you know. Oh, I know I'm forgetting more stuff. I did have stuff on the PS3. I have Kamen Rider Bat Ride War, which is kind of like your Dynasty Warriors with Kamen Riders, but that does bring me to the sequel here. This is Kamen Rider Bat Ride War 2. I have the, like I said, I have the first one on the PS3. It's just over there, and I forgot to grab it. But you know, you don't have to see that one. The sequel's here. You know what it is. Essentially, the first one is I think the main character is Wizard in the first one, and then this one the main characters you're playing as Gaim. But you have a ton of riders you can use throughout the story. You can pretty much play as almost any of the Heisei riders you like. I don't think there are any Showa riders in this. I don't remember. I'm gonna say no in this one. But there are a ton of the Heisei riders, which is good. You can still use some riders that you like, unless you only like Showa riders. Then you're probably not gonna buy this anyway. But yeah, Bat Ride War 2. It's got a weird. It's different from the first one. The first one was kind of like this weird parallel dimension story, and this one has like this weird kind of magic. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a magic movie theater where these kind of kids are trapped, and you have to use the riders to go into these kind of rider movies to destroy bosses or whatever. It does have giant bosses. This one has giant bosses. It has like a King Dark or something in this that you can fight. That's huge. The first game didn't have that. So, like I said, I got this on the Wii U because it's also on the PS3 if you want to import it. But I got on the Wii U because, you know, the Wii U is so lonely. It has no software. So I figured I'd throw it a little love with the Kamen Rider. And that goes for the same for this. This is the last game. It goes the same for this. This is Kamen Rider Summon Ride. If you've been subscribed to my channel for a while, you will have noticed that I did do a almost full playthrough of this game. This one is like Skylanders, but with Kamen Rider. So I have a ton of these Kamen Rider figures now for this game. But yeah, this thing is good. It's like Skylanders, but using riders. That's basically the explanation for it. It's fun though. It has like it's essentially a Skylanders ripoff with Kamen Riders. That's what it is. I think it flopped horribly though. It didn't sell anything in Japan, and I think I was like the only person buying it. In all honesty, like there's like nothing going on with this game. Like nobody bought it, and I was really hoping for a sequel because I wanted more rider figures. Like I wanted Showa riders. Like I have all the riders that are out now, but you know, there's only Heisei riders. I want stronger figure. I want like a Rider Man and a V3. I want those, but there's not going to be a sequel with those figures. So yeah, that's most of my Tokusatsu games. Like I said, I forgot some, and I can't remember any more that I forgot, but I'm sure there's more. Oh wait, I don't have it. I was gonna say there's that Makai Kishigaro game on the PS2, but I've almost had it a bunch of times. Like I've been trying to win it on auctions because it's so rare, but like I keep getting sniped. It's also super expensive. It's like a $150 game on the PS2. So eventually I'll get that, but you know, when is like a who knows when I don't get sniped in the auctions, I guess. So yeah, that's my Tokusatsu game collection. As you can see, I don't have any of the Power Rangers games or the Super Sentai games. I'm not really a fan of that, but there are a bunch. There are some on the 3DS and a bunch on the Super Famicom and other systems, but I haven't been really researching it, so I can't tell you where they all are. But I think a lot of Power Rangers games came out in the US also, so you guys can know. I think maybe DC Redia. How do you say his name? I don't know. He probably has a better idea. I think he probably has all of them, I'd guess. Um, so check him out if you want to see more Power Ranger stuff. But besides that, that's it. That's my Tokusatsu games collection. This video is over an hour and 10 minutes by the clock right now. So I'm going to end it. That's everything. Hope you guys found some stuff that was interesting to you, or you're just watching this for an hour and 10 minutes for no apparent reason, wondering, like, why does this guy have so many Tokusatsu games but no Power Ranger stuff? Or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, this is not a complete Tokusatsu games collection, but it's, you know, it's got some stuff. And still have a list of stuff that I'm looking for. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in some other video, some other day, at some other time. See you later.